We're about a week away from the NBA draft, and the trade rumors are starting to swirl. And now the Warriors have a trade rumor. According to Draft Express and Jonathan Giovanni, who's been tapped in for, 20 years internationally with the draft scene, the Warriors could explore trading one of their young prospects like Jonathan Kuminga to move up for a higher draft pick. You have to pay attention to the words, right? Could explore. So let's operate under the assumption that this is a true rumor and the Warriors are targeting somebody maybe in the top 10. I think the first thing that we have to understand is if it is Kuminga that's on the table, a lot of these guys don't really seem to make sense in my opinion. You look at the Thompson twins, Taylor Hendricks, even Whitmore, a lot of these like athletic, versatile wing guys. That's what Jonathan Kuminga is, right? And he's ahead of schedule with them because he's been on the list to be year 3. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense unless they're targeting a different type of player. Now, I've been scouting for the Warriors at 19, right? And one of the first guys I looked at was Derek Lively II, the center from Duke. And as I was going through that process, and as he's climbed big boards and his workouts have been so impressive, right, I've realized, he's not going to be there at 19. But I fell in love with him as a prospect in the process of looking at his tape. Bouncy 7-footer, at one point, the number one prospect in the country. He had a slow start at Duke, right? He was competing with 2 other 7-footers for minutes. In fact, they played 2 7-footers at the same time, hurt his rebounding numbers. Flipkowski, nice player, good footwork. But the more Lively played at Duke, the better they got. And the thing that sticks out, right, is, 3 blocks a game at 20 minutes per? Is it a ridiculous rate, right? And so what I was shocked when I looked at the tape was when you see that number, you assume, all right, dude, he's out there just flying around trying to block everything. But that really wasn't the case with Lively. He was much more a disciplined shot blocker than I expected him to be considering that number. And he got a lot of them out of position and just being vertical and being tall. Now, he did get in foul trouble as a freshman, but they weren't head scratchers. They weren't like brain dead plays. A lot of them were bang, bang, 50-50 verticality plays. I think he's way ahead of schedule as far as being a disciplined shot blocker and understanding his size, right? He understands the threat of his size and the positioning, the hovering and distance management like a young Rudy Gobert. I know that people are going to go, whoa. But like, honestly, like a young Mobley, Mobley's young right now, but a Mobley Gobert-ish type of shot blocker where they really understand the distance management. And it's more than the actual blocks. It's their presence and the shots that guys don't even want to take. I think he has extreme potential as a rim protector, and he's ready to contribute in that way right away. And so it was this potential rim protector that maybe the Warriors could have got at 19, but then the draft workouts began and he was railing 3-pointers. And everybody was like, oh, okay. If this kid is going to be able to stretch the floor, hit the trailer 3, and just be adequate from out there, you're looking at potentially an elite rim protector who can spread the floor on offense. I don't know how that's not a top 10 pick. And so that's the guy, man. That's the guy I think. And, I know some of you are going to say, no, not another young 7-footer. Let me tell you, he is almost the exact opposite of James Wiseman. He hangs his hat on his defense. And he's not, that's the other thing. He's not really thirsty to score. Not a lot of touches, not a refined offensive game, but the shot mechanically looks smooth enough. I know there's going to be some doubters. Doesn't shoot the free throw well. Like there are some red flags as far as how far his offense will eventually get. But defensively, man, he has all the instincts, feel, and want to be an elite defender, right? Unlike Wiseman, who really, I think his one is to be an offensive player, right? He wants touches. He wants to be, that's what he leans into. And so Derek Lively II leans into his defense, his rebounding, his screen setting, his running the floor, all the things they were asking Wiseman to do. I think Lively does much more naturally. And so when I saw that, I was like, this kid would be perfect, but I don't think we'd be able to get him at 19. In fact, he might go top 10. And so that is my first player that comes to mind if the Warriors were trying to move up and target a player. And so where and how could you get him? I'll throw one trade out for you because it's never any fun unless we throw out some hypothetical stuff here, right? So number 9, Utah Jazz, right? They have multiple picks, right? We know where they're at as an organization. They're not in must-win mode now yet and all that. Could it be Jonathan Kuminga for Rudy Gay, who has a team option, which you better believe he's taking? He's 36 years old. But Rudy Gay, I think the Warriors have flirted with him several off seasons. He could be a veteran presence on the bench, but that's not the point of the trade. The Warriors get the 9th pick. I don't think you include 19 there. The get is for Utah is Jonathan Kuminga. You're drafting Jonathan Kuminga with the 9th pick, which I think is a fair deal, right? And then Gay just exchanges the salaries. And I think at that spot, you could get him. Who knows, man? Things get crazy on draft day, right? But I think at number 9, you could get Lively and add right away, just like I'd JaVale McGee, maybe offensively, as far as like just a vertical spacer and a lob threat, but he's much more disciplined than a young JaVale was, right? And he has a much greater feel, man. I think he's just what the doctor ordered when you look forward at adding size and athleticism and rim protection. And then his mentality, the mentality of the way he plays fits the Warriors system. There's one more player within this top 10 that I think would be a very different type of player that the Warriors possibly could be targeting, right? We're not talking Scoot, Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, right? I just don't think that's in the realm of possibility. We know the Houston Rockets have been shopping that number 4 pick, right? Could you send Kuminga to Houston for Jayshawn Tate, which matches the salaries, and that number 4 pick? 19, they're probably going to try to take that from us as well, but you got to push back. Done. You got to hold your ground. But the basis of the trade would be Kuminga for the 4th pick. You could fill salary, and then they go and they take Jarris Walker out of Houston. A Draymond Green eventual replacement, right? He's 6'8", 240, right? And you say, okay, well, he's kind of at that. No. He's a much more physical, defensive-minded player than Kuminga, and he's a guy that I could see them. And to be fair, listen, I haven't scouted the top 10 because the Warriors haven't had a top 10 pick, right? So I didn't expect us to be talking about these prospects, but when I did see a little bit of him, I was like, oh, yeah, he seems like a guy that the Warriors get, the playmaking ability, right? And listen, to be clear, no one's ever going to replicate what Draymond does. He's that unique of a talent, but he's a guy that if you were to pick a player, a younger player right now that like, hey, who could fill that role moving forward? Jarris Walker out of Houston, physicality, just elite instincts protecting the rim, switchability, some playmaking feel. And so maybe that would be the target. I don't know. It's all hearsay at this point, right? And they could explore it. There's a lot of posturing going on right now in this final week of the draft and stuff like that. And so even him, listen, I really like Lively, and I would love for the Warriors to find a way to get Lively. It would hurt to give up Kuminga to do it, right? And then the Jarris Walker, I haven't watched enough to say for sure, hey, I'd be willing to give up Kuminga to get him, but he is the type of player that would make sense. Like, hey, it fits better with the roster right now, but again, you're starting over with a young guy that would have to learn the system. So it doesn't make a ton of sense, but that is the rumors, and I know y'all wanted to talk about it, so those are my thoughts on it right now. There were some other little tidbits here from Warriors news in the last 24, 48 hours, right? First, you heard the Warriors are operating under the assumption that Draymond Green and Jordan Poole can move forward and get on the same page and play together moving forward. That's what you do, right? Like you don't give up your leverage. You don't announce to the rest of the league like, hey, we got to trade one of these guys. Like it's not going to work out, right? That's silly. Of course, that's what they're going to say. And that's any job you've ever worked at, right? When there's like a dispute, they operate under the assumption until they don't have to. That's kind of how it works. So take that with a grain of salt. But then the other more intriguing quote, I believe, came from Anthony Slater, as legit as it gets when it comes to Warriors news. Everyone but Steph is on the table. Everyone but Steph is on the table, as it should be, right? And you know what it got me to thinking, right? Because, again, you can take it very literally, or it can just kind of be like, hey, we're open for business. We're letting everyone know we're open for business. Make some calls. That's kind of what that usually means. But I could also see a part of Lacob getting really tired of people saying, well, you can't blow up, you can't trade Draymond, you can't trade Clay, you can't do this. You can't, and probably hearing like, well, it's up to the core and how they want to finish it out. And he's like, oh, no. Oh, no. Gets in his Vince McMahon voice, right? Like everyone's on the table, right? Something along those lines. But that is the latest Warrior news. I'm excited for this draft, man. I'm looking at Jaime Jaquez, as well as a couple other wing prospects in this week's breakdown. I have several other ones already done, and then you will get full draft coverage from me night of and who we end up with. I'm sure there's going to be some trades to talk about, and then I will be at Summer League week 1 to cover our young prospects. As always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.